Well, hello, we are live. And as promised, video number 2 in the secret to being happier and more positive. So yesterday we talked about the reasons why you'd like to be happier and more positive. There was a little exercise of sitting down and just writing out what would change in your life if you were happier, if you were more positive. And the reason why we need to do this is whenever we want to make major changes in our life that we need to put a little bit of effort in, it's important to have reasons why, because it gives you extra power, it gives you extra sort of petrol, motivation to make some changes rather than just sitting there saying, you know what, I'll just stay as I am, which lots of people do. Sadly, a lot of people go through self-sabotage, they're just too lazy mentally. But once you start to exercise and start to do these things regularly, it becomes quite easy. So, if you haven't gone through and done that exercise, I suggest you go back and find video 1. It's on my newsfeed. It's also on our YouTube channel. And it's labelled The Secret to Being Happier and More Positive Part 1. So go and find that and make sure you've done those exercises. And today we're going to do a little bit extra things to add a bit more power to your changes. So one of the things I love about doing NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and self-hypnosis is that we have the ability to program our minds. If you imagine that our minds are computers, that when we get up, it's just like booting up a PC or a phone, is that we get into a set of habits and patterns and programs that really happen automatically. Now you've got to understand that some of this programming doesn't come from us, it comes from those around us, it comes from the TV, the media and all sorts of things, and we are programmed. And some people don't like the idea that other people can manipulate and change our programs, and I can agree with that. It's not good that the TV has so much influence over us. So really we need to keep guard of our minds and reprogram ourselves and keep those things in there. But the good news is that using these tools we really can. So one of the things I want to talk about are manipulators, which keep us down, stop us from being happy. There's lots of manipulators out there, so if you go into any supermarket, you watch the TV, you read the newspapers, you watch the news, there are people manipulating there, but also a lot of other people around us can manipulate us and make us unhappy. So let's imagine, I had a friend a while ago who used to be on Facebook, and the second he saw that I was live, he would send me a message and say, oh, my hip hurts today, oh, my knee hurts today. And, you know, really, that's not a healthy way to start a conversation with somebody. However, people do that sometimes because they want the attention. When they're unhappy, when they've got disease, when they're ill, especially with anxiety and stress, some people really hold on to these problems as a way of getting attention. And again, these are the people who become the drains and push other people away from them and then wonder why they get so lonely and they have problems. So it's really important to try and keep away from people like that and decide to be a radiator yourself. You need to be the bigger, happier person rather than the person who's causing all the problems and the people who are manipulating each other. Unless you want to be positive, and I suppose that's a way of manipulating people, if you're positive and giving out good radiation to other people. So I'm going to give you an example of some happy people. There's 3 people I know in my life who are really, really happy. I'm not going to mention their names, but they've all got some very simple traits in life. And a lot of people think, oh, it's all right for them because, it's all right for them because, and they'll give you a ton of reasons. However, the 3 happiest people that I know, I've come across recently, have all been through major problems in their life. Some of them have lost children. You know, it's really interesting. People say to me, I can't be happy because... And then they'll reel off a load of things, and quite often it is, I've lost a child, I've lost my mum, I've lost whatever. Well, some of the happiest people I know have also been through that as well. Some of them have run businesses that have gone down, and when you invest a lot of emotion and time and money into a business and that goes under, that can be very difficult. However, a lot of the happiest people I know have done that, and they've learned from that and used it as a positive situation, as a way to learn. So usually, people who are very positive have some very similar traits. And the first one is they have a purpose in life. It could be they run a business, they look after somebody else, they've got a family, they love to get out and help a charity. Having a purpose, a reason to get out of bed every morning, is so important for your mental health. Usually a lot of people, when they have depression, issues like this, there's nothing to get up for, and that can be a real major stepping stone. So make sure you've got a purpose to get up in life. If you haven't got one, go find one. There's loads of good causes that need help. There's loads of people who need help. You might want to help the community. You know, you get some great people who go out and pick up litter from the woods and locally. They don't get paid for it, just to make things a bit better. There's other people who go and rescue animals. There's people who are constantly out there raising funds for charities. What is your purpose in life? Find one of those. Usually, you'll find that people who are happy, they look for the positives in life as well. So it's easy to go out there and look at the negatives in the news and the weather and everything else that's going on, but these people usually look for the positives. So what are the positives around you? There's so many of them. We're so fortunate in this country. It's easy to watch the news and get into the negatives, but look for the positives. Maybe get a journal and start writing them down, just so you know that they're there. And yes, you're going to find negatives, you're going to find positives, but which one are you going to focus on? Number 3, positive people, happy people are usually busy. They're not sitting about on the bum watching the telly from the minute they get up. They're not sitting there reading the negative newspapers. They've usually got a purpose and they're busy. In fact, the 3 friends I've got in mind, if I have it right, are all over retirement age and working more than full-time hours. However, what they are doing is their passion. It's their purpose. You know, they may be running a business, they might be helping a charity, they might be running a community project, and usually they're doing 2 or 3 different things as well. But they're busy. They're not sitting about thinking about the negative stuff. They're getting out there and making a difference and making things happen. So is that you? Are you busy? Are you busy doing nothing? It's very, very easy to sit about and do nothing. It's so easy, but once you get into that negative rut, it doesn't help. Sharing. These people are usually sharing, caring people who are constantly giving to others. Yes, they're busy with what they're doing. It's not usually money motivated. Yes, we've all got to work and pay the bills, but they're usually sharing, they're caring. When they see there's a problem in the community, they're the first ones to step up and step in. Usually busy people are the people who do that. They seem to find a way to get on and get projects moving. They're usually looking outwards. Their focus isn't me, it's what can I do for you? So one particular lady that I'm thinking of, whenever she hears of anybody who's in need or needs help, she's one of the first people there offering help, whether they're asked for it or not. And that's amazing, because there's a few people in each community who do this that are doing something else for somebody else. So it's always about focusing outwards and what can I do to make things better, rather than looking inwards all the time. They avoid negative programming. Now, most of them aren't aware that they do this, but I find positive people are usually out there looking for the positives, and they're avoiding the things that can be dragging us down. So if there's a negative person around them, they'll help, but they'll limit the time with them. We did a video about dealing with difficult people a while ago, and that's important in that if you have got somebody negative in your life, it might be a relative that you can't ditch. Help them, but make excuses why you can only spend half an hour or so there anyway. But get out and help, but look after your time. They're usually avoiding negative social media. So Facebook, for example, is absolutely full of negative stories. One of the things you can do is manage your Facebook account. So if you find there's somebody constantly putting positives all the time, you can unfollow them so you don't see it. You can unfriend them. You can block certain news feeds. Or you can just scroll past them. Don't keep looking at the negatives of how bad things are getting. In fact, you could be the positive person who's sharing lots of positive things. The press and magazines, the TV. Now, we've seen that this week with that celebrity who committed suicide. These gossip magazines are really quite toxic for the mind. I don't know why anybody buys newspapers these days. I regularly have clients who talk about problems with parents, maybe Alzheimer's, dementia, but getting a negative mindset, and it's usually because they're reading certain newspapers. Now, to be honest, I don't see any of them that are worth buying. You know, they're there, they're negative, they're not sharing the positives in life, and again, if you're sitting and reading them, you're putting negative stuff into your mind. So Usually happy people aren't spending ages doing that. They don't have the time to do it. Adverts, sales info, you've got to be careful because a lot of these adverts, especially on the telly, use a lot of emotion, especially for women. They're saying, look, you're not happy. You know, they show a picture of somebody being happy because they wear certain makeup or they have something. A lot of kids today are saying they're not happy because they don't have the latest phone, they don't have the latest bag. I had a friend who used to work in a private school, and these kids were taking in £1,000 bags and shoes and all sorts of things, but they weren't happy. We don't get happy from getting things, but you've got to watch that we're manipulated by the media, and especially the advertising media, in that we'll be happier when we have this car, when we have this, when we obtain that. That's not true. So just spend a bit of time being aware of the messages that are coming in and just say, is it worthwhile watching this? Personally, we don't have live TV. We do watch TV, but we go on, we watch what we want by streaming it, and then we're off. We don't sit there watching the adverts. Occasionally, I think it was last week, we wanted to watch a program and it was live streamed, but we had to search through, and I was going through watching the news and the adverts and the stuff, and it was so negative, and I was thinking, thank God I don't do that regularly. So again, be very, very careful with that. I've mentioned you limit time with negative people, the drains, and remember there's two types of people. There's radiators and drains out there. Try and stay around the radiators. Be around the people who are productive and positive. There's a regular statistic about successful people, and they say that if you're around 10 successful people, you'll have an average of their income. It's weird how that comes up and down. So finding positive friends, networking events, you know, charity groups where you're getting and doing things is so much uplifting, and it really helps the mind. So get into that mood of being a radiator. So some tips for the next 2 days or so is for you to go out and do some positive things. And really it's about, how do you become a radiator? Radiators are happier, motivated people, the more positive. So step number 1 is, and you might want to go back and write these down, is go to somewhere that you like. Let's just say, for example, you like going to the beach. What I want you to do is to get up and go to the beach. You need to get out and do something. But this time I want you to look at it from a totally different perspective. And that perspective is, look for 5 things that you like. So it could be that you like looking at the sea. It could be the sky, the clouds, the sand, and anything else you can see, the greenery, the trees. And just look at those things and actually examine them in detail, and look at the colours, look at the textures, look at the details, and actually ask yourself, what is it that you like? So if it was the sand, for example, you could look at all the different colours. You can see the driftwood, the seaweed. You can notice all those different colours and details, the footprints. There's usually a lot of information there that you don't take in. How many animal tracks do you see? Quite often when we go for a walk, we look and say, what animal could have made that? You can look at the sea as well as it comes in and out. Look at the movement, look at the colours. Notice how the light glistens off it and everything else. And just really examine it with your eyes and notice what you can see. And then do exactly the same, but this time with your ears, your auditory system. Start to think about the things that you can hear when you're down on the beach. And usually this would be the sound of the sea coming in and out. There's usually a gentle wind, not like the wind I've got outside today that's blowing a gale. You can hear the kids screaming and laughing. You can hear the dogs running around. There's usually the sound of an ice cream van, as my daughter will always point out. There's so many sounds you can hear on the beach. And again, you want to consciously listen for these and see what you can pick up. Then finally, I want you to look at how you feel, the kinesthetic side of things. So it could be that you're walking down that beach and you can feel the sun on your skin and it's nice and warming. It might be you feel a bit of a breeze. Notice how you feel in your body. Are you relaxed? Are you breathing gently? What else do you notice? Are you content? Are you holding hands with somebody? That's always nice. What exactly is it that you're feeling when you're walking down this beach, taking in all the visual signs, all the auditory signs, and just be aware of it? And that's really important. And that's just a simple little trick, because once you start to do that, and like everything, when you repeat it again and again and again, which is what we need to do, we start to now rewire our brains to constantly be looking for the good things. And we start to block out. We seem to forget about all the negatives and things. And that's what makes us happy. It can be simple as walking down a beach and enjoying the sensation. The second thing you can do is, when you come back, is run through all of those sensations. So come back, sit in a chair, and you can sit and you can imagine that you're walking down that beach. And then you can imagine that you're looking at the colours, you're feeling the sun, the wind, the sounds, and you can then mentally amplify them up. So sit there with your eyes closed, amplify them up, and then ask yourself, if all of these feelings had a place in your body, where would they be? And some people it's in the hand, it's in the head, it's in the chest or the heart. And it's just interesting that feelings and sensations have a place in your body. And then ask yourself, if it had a colour, what would the colour be? And just pick the first one that pops into your head. Usually good sensations have lovely bright orange, yellow, blues, nice colours. So what colour is it? Has it got a shape? Does it move? And then mentally what I want you to do is to sit there, and I want you to imagine that you're spinning it with your mind. And as you do, it glows and it glitters and it gets more and more brilliant. And then you can spin it again and expand it up so it goes to the top of your head, the tips of your toes and out to your fingers, and keep spinning that round, and just sit there or lie there and enjoy that sensation of all of those things on the beach, but also bringing up that colour and feeling wonderful. Now it might be that yours isn't a beach, it might be a holiday, it might be a walk in the woods, it could be going out and meeting some friends. Use a sensation like that, but start exploring them and then repeating them. And again, when you do this, this changes your physiology, it rewires the mind and the brain, and it makes such changes. Third thing to do is read something positive. Now switch off that TV, maybe get up in the morning and read something positive. Read something inspiring, motivational. There's loads of biographies and autobiographies out there. So look for somebody maybe that you admire. Richard Branson, Bob Geldof, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Muhammad Ali. There's loads of people who've gone through adversity in their life that have written books that are very inspiring. If you can't afford books, go and join a library. It's totally free. And start to read, even if it's just 20 minutes a day of something positive. It really makes a difference. So really read something and put something positive into your mind. Number 4 is be creative. Now, a big part of NLP, Richard Bandler mentions this all the time. He says for good mental health, we need to be doing something creative. When we do something creative, we're absolutely inventing something. If you're drawing something for the first time, or painting, or getting into dancing or music, we're actually creating something. And being creative is very good for mental health. So I'd suggest daily trying to do something fun and positive, and it could be colouring in. It could be drawing a picture, listening to your favourite music. I suppose reading a book in a way is creative, and then using those ideas, and just start doing something that's fun. And also try and do something new. Don't do the same thing again and again. It's amazing, this is a really good one for you, is that when people become grandparents, it then gives them an excuse to start playing with the Lego and getting into the colouring books. And I've seen this with my parents, and a lot of people report the same thing. You don't need an excuse to do that sort of thing. My dad got to the point where he used to play with the Lego when the kids weren't there. So you don't need excuses to be creative. These aren't things for kids. These are things that build the brain, build the mind, and keep us happy. So find something creative to do and try and do something new. So if you have a look on Facebook, if you look in the papers, if you look on the internet, there's always events going on. Go out, try some new food, try a new activity, go dancing for the first time, go swimming, do a sport. Do it at least once. You might not like it, but at least you can say that you've done it. If you're on your own, go and try and make some friends. So if you can make some friends, it makes this much easier. There's loads of little walking groups, social groups, community groups, and it gives you something very different to Facebook. Facebook promises, the idea of Facebook is that you're going to make loads of connections and have lots of friends. And I was just discussing this before with somebody on Facebook, and that actually that doesn't happen. Lots of people are spouting their stuff and sharing it, and they're very rarely communicating except when they start to argue. But getting out and having real life communication with people makes such a difference and is so good for your mental health. Finally, go out and see what can you do for somebody else. Now, it used to be funny that my grandmother in her 90s used to go out a couple of times a week and used to help the old dears that lived around her, and most of them were slightly younger than her. But she called them the old dears. She always thought she was younger, and part of her happiness and her health was that she used to walk into town every day. In the 90s, she was still walking about a mile a day, She was always out doing things and helping other people, going up to the charity shops. She didn't particularly want other people to do this for her, but she'd get out and do that. So it's worth just getting out and helping other people. There's always people worse off than you. So get out and do something. What can you do to help people around you? You might want to go out and help the animals. You might want to help a charity. There might be like a community group that you could go and help serve the tea in. You could drive the bus to pick people up, or the car. Just what can you do to help other people, and start doing something outwards instead of inwards all the time. And this really helps to do it. Now, one of the things you might come across, and this is something that's really interesting, is the but excuses. Some people, when I work with them, say to me, but it's all right for you, but I've got this problem. And I say, find a way around it. Our mind is very good. When we start to make changes, our mind is interesting in that it can come up with reasons why we don't do things. I've seen when people when they start businesses, for example, and they're just about to go and they're all fired up and it's going to change their life, and then all of a sudden they get a stinking cold or a bad stomach. That's quite often the mind or self-sabotage. People get to a point they're just about to go and there's loads of reasons why they can't do it. Now, to me, those are just excuses. They're absolute rubbish. You have to find a way to push past them. Always in life there's obstacles, and we have to get over those obstacles to start to move forward. And some people just flake out. They say, I can't do it, it's too hard, I'm just going to be the miserable bugger I've been all my life. But other people find a way to push past it. And it's important to do that, because the more you do it, the better you become at it. I've been in business since I was 18, and some of the obstacles I've come over are just unbelievable. Lots of people say to me, how the hell have you done that? And it was just, I had a reason why. You know, if you've got a whole obstacle course of things in your life, it's quite difficult to get over those. But if there's a reason at the end of it, a goal, then it's much easier to get over it. You focus on the goal rather than all of these little obstacles along the way. So if things are thrown in your way and they're difficult, it's all right to take a step back, but don't let self-sabotage hold you back from where you want to be. So find a way around it and push it. So I will be back tomorrow with video 3. We're going to be talking about more of the things that go on in the mind to make us happy. And again, I just want to repeat that these are all about repetition. When we do something new, we need to repeat it again and again and again until the mind takes it in and does it automatically. You can be happier, you can be more positive, you can move further towards this goal all the time, but you need to be doing that repetition. So thanks again to all of you for watching. Thank you for your comments. I love it when you tag your friends and share these videos, because that really helps me. Please keep doing that. I'll put a link to the YouTube channel where you'll find this video and loads of others very shortly. And also, if you'd like a free phone session with me to discuss any problem, to help with anxiety, stress, depression, just send me a PM or drop me a message, leave a comment, and I'll get back to you and we can arrange that to see if we can help you to move forward faster. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you tomorrow.